Chapter 26 is the final and most treacherous seas map of the run. At the end of a winding path of rooms and hallways connected by doors, Iago guards the central throne and patrols the map with his infinite 10-range offensive staves. He cycles through them as listed in his inventory, so Enfeeble turn 1, Freeze turn 2, Silence turn 3, and so on. However, my goal for this chapter is to win on turn 3 before he even gets to use his final staff. To reach Iago, there are two symmetrical paths to choose from, which diverge from a room in the north and converge in a room in the south. Most runs choose the eastern sorcerer path, but in the context of my run, we can actually move faster through the western monster path. The only enemies that move there are locked to 1 range, so we can better avoid getting blocked off, and on normal mode there are no maids along this path, so we don't have to worry about any extra offensive staves. Thinking backwards, I know that I want to seize on the same turn I open the door to the southern room. However, this involves opening the southern door, moving a berserker and a general out of the way, opening the throne room door, defeating Iago, and seizing. So if we want to win on turn 3, we'll have to get several units behind the southern doors by the end of turn 2. That's a big ask, but by making heavy use of Pheonix mode, we can have most of our army trail right behind Corrin as he rushes forward. Since we're back to maximizing movement, Corrin reclasses out of Sorcerer and into Dark Knight. This will be Corrin's last switch of the run, with a perfect combination of magical combat and high movement for the final chapters. Then, I used the boots we got from chapter 23 on Niles, taking him up to an impressive 10 base movement that will help him span the distance between doors. We actually only have Niles and Kaze as lock touch users, so quickly moving them from door to door will be key to the clear. Alright, now let's carve our path to endgame, even if it takes a few deaths to get there. First, Kaze opens the door to the heroes. Then, Camilla lunges a hero, so they won't block the way between two torches. Now after a shove, Niles can reach the set of doors that leads to the western hallway. And no need to stop there. After Azura transfers over Fumi and sings for Niles, he can also open the door to the monster room. Niles opens the door from the southernmost tile. This leaves the tile to his north free, so Corrin can move there after a shelter sing, and be in just the right spot to sweep the faceless. After moving for the first time, Corrin takes the opportunity to kill a hero, which will help keep a clear path next turn. Corrin got a shove, and Leo gets a swap for the shelter sing, which puts the total shove and swaps this chapter at 3. We'll have to wait until next chapter to use all 4 I acquired. Corrin ends in range of all 4 Faceless and one of the Stoneborn. One of the Faceless will attack Niles, but then the rest will be forced to attack into Corrin. Now we have to deal with the mess Corrin left behind in the north. To avoid the heroes from blocking our path, I have Baruka, Flora, and Xander complete a line formation. This way, everyone has a trail to follow while moving forward next turn, so it doesn't matter where the heroes attack from. However, we also have to consider Iago. He's going to enfeeble whoever's in range of the most enemies, and right now that's Corrin at 5. There are technically also 5 heroes in the north, but our line is only in range of 4 of them. To make sure Corrin doesn't get enfeebled, I have Laszlo move fully south. Now Laszlo is also in range of 5 enemies, and Iago will prioritize him for more hits. The first Faceless attacks Niles. This means they'll be alive and in our way next turn, but I can work with that. Azura also ended in range of a Faceless in the hallway, so she can be reliably unpaired with Leo. It doesn't matter whether Niles or Fumi die though. They can reach their target next turn either way. Even with a line formation, the heroes technically could block our path, if one hero were to kill someone, and then another hero attacked from where the dead unit used to be. But after a lot of trial and error, I made sure that the heroes will never cut us off. The first hero moves to kill Hitaka in the north, and the second stays in place to kill Laszlo. Then the third kills Baruka. She is part of the line, but the last two heroes are too far away to take her spot, so our formation stays intact. Now Corrin gets to sweep the remaining 3 Faceless in the monster room. Even if Niles or Fumi hadn't died, the Faceless that attack Niles would body block the others and force them to attack into Corrin. He's so strong that he doesn't need any particular para partner to one round. As such, I could choose his partner based on whoever I want around in the south for future turns, and for that I chose Selena. While clearing out this room, Corrin also gets one last push in experience, getting up to level 19.
I did it right.
Camilla's so strong that she doesn't even die to 2 heroes. Good for her. After 6 revivals, we're good to keep marching forward. The Faceless move to block the entrance to the hallway, so Baruka lunges one out of the way. Now we can move our line from the hero room to the hallway. First, Hitaka pairs into Flora and gets separated forward. Second, Xander pairs into Camilla, who switches to separate herself forward. Then, I want Kaze to open the next set of doors, after getting ferried by Gunter and then refreshed. As a ninja, Kaze provides +1 movements, which Gunter needs to move far enough forward. However, next turn, Kaze needs 7 base movements, which he can only get by promoting into Mechanist. Unlike Ninja, Mechanist doesn't give +1 movement on pair up though, so the promotion has to happen now, and not in preps. Kaze has to become the lead unit to use the Master Seal, but Mechanist's 7 movements on top of +1 from pair up means Kaze can still reach the next set of doors after a refresh. Now Niles is free to use his action to move just behind the Berserker room and separate with Fumi. Likewise, Corrin separates with Selena, which also blocks off the Faceless in the new hallway from reaching Niles or Fumi. This forces the Faceless to target and unpair Kaze, because he just barely has less avoid than Corrin and Selena. We can also make use of the surviving Monster Room Faceless to unpair Azura. I made sure that she has even less avoid than Kaze, so this Faceless will prioritize Azura over Kaze, but the other will still prioritize Kaze over Selena. Then for Iago, this is the freeze turn, but it's not really a problem. He's going to target someone in the hero room again, but those units either don't need to move anymore, or would just die and be revived without the freeze status. For those counting, Azura's second death is the 7th of the chapter. Hitaga's second death makes 8. And Baruka's second death makes 9. For death number 10, we have Kaze. He doesn't get doubled, but he still gets OHKO'd. For death number 11, we have... Oh, good for you, girl. 11 is actually Hiromi. He gets doubled and perfectly OHKO'd. After Savage Blow damage, even the Wakizashi hero can get a kill. Flora makes 12. Laszlo takes us up to 13 with another perfect double Oko. This Stoneborn could also kill Kaze if the Faceless had missed, giving him a success rate of 99.8%. Kenshi survives a round of combat even against the Brave Sword hero. Unfortunately for him, there's one more hero left. That makes for a final kill count of 14. And with half the army revived, we keep moving. It's turn 3, so it's time to make the final push. First, Camilla takes Azura and gets swapped forward. Now she can transfer Azura over to Gunter, before lunging the Faceless that attack Kaze out of the way. Gunter can then transfer Azura over to Fumi, before pairing into Corrin. Then Kaze uses his 7 movement to open the doors to the Berserker room. Before moving on to the throne room, we have to get one Berserker and one General out of the way. For the Berserker, I have Leo ferry Flora forward to use a newly purchased Entrap, with Leo's magic pair-up helping her reach 100 hits. This also gives Flora her 5th level up of the run, for one last point of magic and skill. Then Corrin defeats the General. They have Wary Fighter, but like in Chapter 18, we can work around this with Lightning. With a clear path, Niles uses his 10 movement to reach the doors to the throne room. Fumi ferries Azura to sing for Corrin, who after moving the first time can now reach Iago. Unlike the other late game boss kills, this one isn't even close.
No. It's not your time yet.
This kill gets Corrin his final level, which is good. We need this +1 magic for next chapter.
You'll be alright.
The throne is clear, but we still need someone to seize, and Selena is the only unit who hasn't acted in the south. She's not close enough herself, and there's no one left in the west for her to rescue closer. However, there is one unit she can reach, Laszlo, who's still all the way back in the hero room. So, despite barely moving, Laszlo gets to be the one to seize. And that's chapter 26 completed in 3 turns. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the finale next time.